Hello friends, in this video tutorial, we will developing a login system with Node JS, Express and MySQL database. And we will create login page for Node JS application. So in this tutorial, you will learn how to create a login system in Node JS with MySQL database, and here we will use Express framework. So with the help of this tutorial, you can step by step create login system in Node JS using Express framework with MySQL database. And you can also learn how to validate user login details in Node application and login into system. And lastly, you can also learn how to log out from Node application. Now let's start discussing this topic. So this is our testing database. And here, we have one user login table with table column like user ID, user email and user password. And under this table, we have already inserted some user login details under this table, and we will validate this login details under Node JS login system. After this, we have go to command prompt, and first go into Node directory, in which we want to create Node application. And here, we have create one directory with name like login. And then after, we have goes into login directory. So under this directory, we will download and install Node JS Express application. So first we want to install Express generator, so we have to run following command. So this command will install Express generator. Next we want to install Express application. So for this, we have to run following command. So this command will install Express application. And in the above command, AJS is a template engine of the Express. So after running the above command, you will get following instructions. Next we want to install dependencies, so we have to run following command, which will install Node JS Express framework dependencies. So this command will install Node JS Express application dependencies. After this, we have go to text editor, and here we can see that Express application directory structure. Now we want to first make database connection, so first we need to download MySQL module. So here in command prompt, we have to run following command. So this command will download and install Node Express MySQL module. So here, we can see that Node Express MySQL module has been installed in our Node Express application. Now we have go to text editor, and here we want to create database connection file. So here, we have create new JavaScript file in the root folder with file name like database.js, and here we will use this file for make MySQL database connection. And under this file, we have to write constant MySQL variable is equal to require function. And under this function, we have to write MySQL. So by using this code, it will include MySQL module under this file. After this, we want to define configuration for creating MySQL database connection. So here, we have to write constant connection variable is equal to MySQL.create connection function, so this function will make MySQL database connection. And under this function, we have to define MySQL database configuration in the JSON format. So first, we have to define host for MySQL database connection. So in first key, we have to write host, and in value, we have to write localhost. Next, we want to define database name, from which we want to connect our Node application. So for this, in the key, we have to write database. And in value, we have to write testing, and after this, we want to define username of the MySQL database. So for this, in the key, we have to write user. And in the value, we have to write root. And lastly, in MySQL database configuration, we want to define password of the MySQL database. So for this, here we have to write password, and in the value, we have to write blank. So after define this configuration, it will try to make MySQL database connection. Now we want to execute MySQL database connection. So for this, we have to write connection.connect function. So this function has been used for create a MySQL connection. And under this function, we have to write one callback function with error as parameter. Under this function, we have to write if statement. And under condition, we have to write error variable. So this condition will check if there is any error occur. Then it will execute if block of code, and under this block, we have to write throw error, so it will display database connection error. But suppose there is no any error occurs, then it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we have to write console.log function. And under this function, we have to write MySQL database is connected successfully. Lastly, we want to publish this MySQL database connection. So for this, here we have to write module.exports is equal to connection variable. So here, our MySQL database connection code is ready. After this, we have go to roots directory, and open index JavaScript file. Under this file, first we want to make MySQL database connection. So here we have to write database variable is equal to request function, and under this function, we have to write path of the database connection file, which will make MySQL database connection. Now for login page, so we have go to get root. And here, we can see that index template file has been loaded. And this file, we will use for display login page, and after login into system. We want to display welcome message also, with logout button. So first we want to download, and install Express Session module. So for this we have go to command prompt, and run following command. So it will download, and install Express Session module. Now we want to configure session, and under this Node Express application. So for this, we have to open app.javascript file. And under this file, we need to import Express Session module. So here, first we need to import Express Session module. So for this, here we have to write session variable is equal to require function, and under this, we have to write Express Session module name. So this way, we can import Express Session modules under this app.js file. So here, we have to write app.use function. And under this function, we have to write session function. So this function will set up session in Node application. Under this function, we have write first option secret with value Webslesson. So it will generate a random unique string key, which is used to authenticate a session. In second option, we have write resave, which is set to true. In third option, we have to write save uninitialized, which is set to true. So this way, we can set up session in Node application. After this, we have again go to index JavaScript file. And here, in get root, and under render function, we have to write session key with value request.session. So here, we have store session data in session variable, which we can access in index template file. Now we have opened views directory index template file. And under this file, we have removed this code, and paste this code. And here, we can see that we have already included Bootstrap library link. This file we will use for display login page, and if user is already login, then login user can view welcome message with logout link for logout from system. So for this, here we have to write node code syntax. And between this, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write session.userit variable, so this condition will check if user is login into system, then it will execute this if block of code. And under this block, we want to display welcome message with logout link. So here, we have write welcome message, which will be display after user has been login into system. And below this, we want to make logout link, so here we have to create anchor tag with href attribute is equal to /logout, and class is equal to button and button primary class, and between anchor text, we have to write logout. So it will create logout link, which will send get request to logout root. But suppose above condition false, then it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we want to create login form, and this block of code will execute if user is not logged into system. So here, we have pasted this Bootstrap 5 card components code. And for create login form, here we have to write form tag with method is equal to post. And in action attribute, we have to write /login, so it will submit form data to login root. Under this form, for get user email address details, here we have to write input type is equal to email, and name is equal to user email address, and class is equal to form control. After this, for get user password details, we have to create password field. So here we have to write input type is equal to password, and name is equal to user password. Now for submit form data, here we have to write input type is equal to submit. Class is equal to button and button primary, and value is equal to login. So by click on this button, this login form data will be submitted to login root. So here our HTML login form is ready. Now we have go to roots directory, index JavaScript file. And here first we want to create login root. So for this, here we have to write router.post function with two parameter. So in first parameter, we have to write /login, and in second parameter, we have to write callback function with three parameter like request, response and next. Under this function, first we want to store form data into local variable. So for this, here we have to write user email address variable is equal to request.body.user email address variable. So here we have to store email field data in local variable. After this, we have to write user password variable is equal to request.body.user password field. So here, we have store password field data into local variable. Below this, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write user email address variable and user password variable. So this condition will check. If both variable has some value, then it will execute if block of code. But suppose above condition false, then it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we have to write respond.send function, and under this function, we have to write error message like please enter email address and password details. And after this, we have to write respond.end function, so this code will display error on the web page. But suppose above condition true, then it will execute if block of code, and here, we have to write query variable is equal to select star from user login, where user email is equal to $sign with open and close bracket. And between this, we have to write user email address variable. So this query will check user login details in MySQL user login table. Now we want to execute this query. So for this, here we have to write database variable.query function with two parameter. In first parameter, we have to write query variable in which we have store select query. And in second parameter, we have to write callback function with two parameter like error and data variable. This function will return query execution result, which we can get from this data variable. Under this function, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write data.length value is greater than 0, so suppose this condition false. That means user has entered wrong password, and it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we have to write response.send function. And under this function, we have to write error message like incorrect email address, so it will display this error message on the web page. But suppose user has entered correct email address, then it will execute if block of code. And under this block, we have to write for loop, and under condition, we have to write count variable value is equal to 0, count variable value is less than the value of data.length. And count variable value increment by 1, so by using this for loop, it will fetch data from this data variable. And under this loop, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write data with count index.user password is equal to user password variable. So this condition has been compared. User entered password with password stored in MySQL table. Suppose user has entered wrong password, then it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we have to write response.send function, and under this function, we have to write error message like incorrect password, so this message will be displayed on the web page. But suppose user entered correct password, then it will execute if block of code. And under this block, we want to store user id table column data into session variable. So this session variable data, we will use for validate user login is login or not. So for store data in session variable, here we have to write request.session.user id variable is equal to data variable with count index.user id table column name. So here login user id table column data has been stored in session variable. After this, we want to redirect web page to root routes, so for this, here we have to write response.redirect function, and under this function, we have to write slash. So it will display index template file on web page, but now it will display welcome message with logout link. Now we want to create another route for handle logout request, so for this, here we have to write router variable.get function with two parameter. In first parameter, we have to write /logout, and in second parameter, we have to write callback function with three parameter like request, response and next variable. Under this function, first we want to delete all session variable data. So for this, here we have to write request.session.destroy function. So this code will delete or remove all session variable, so after delete all session data. Now we want to redirect web page to this root file index root, so for this, here we have to write response.redirect function, and under this function, we have to write slash. So it will redirect web page, index root of this root file, and user will be logout from system. And now it will view login page on the web page, so here our code is ready. Now we have to check output in the browser. So we have go to command prompt, and goes into directory, where we have to create login directory. And after this, we have run this command, so it will start Node server. Now in the browser, we have typed localhost : with 3000 port number. So here on the web page, we can see login page has been displayed. This is because in index root file, we have create login page. Now first we want to check validation, so we have to directly click on the login button. So after click on the login button, here we can see error message like please enter email address and password details. So we have again go to login page, and now we have enter email address, and wrong password details. And after this, we have click on login button, so after click on the login button. So here we can see error message like incorrect email address. This is because we have enter wrong email address. Now in login page, we have enter correct email address like johnsmith@gmail.com. And now we have enter wrong password details, and after this, we have click on login button. So after click on the login button, here we can see error message like incorrect password. So here all validation working properly. Now we have to enter correct email address and password details. So after enter correct email address and password details, now we have click on login button. So after click on the login button, here we can see that welcome message has been displayed on web page. And below it, we can see logout link. So once user has been logged into system, then it will see this content. On the web page, now we want to log out from this system, so we have click on the logout link. And after click on the logout link, here we can see that user has been logged out from system. And again user has been redirect to login page, so this is simple Node.js login system. So in this video tutorial, we have learned how to build login system in Node.js by using Express framework with MySQL database. Lastly, thank you for watching this video, and we will be meet in new video tutorial in Node.js.